It's time for Tutorial Tuesday. Let's make something beautiful today. Well, I tell you what, it is good to be back making some jewelry with you. So looking forward to Tutorial Tuesday. I'm so glad it's springtime. I was so glad to have 2 weeks off. If you didn't know, I had mentioned it in a previous video, it's my birthday and my husband's birthday. We used to take a week off, but we's getting old now, so we're doing 2 weeks. And you know what the highlight of the 2 weeks were? A plant sale, yes, and watching birds. I'm entering my 50th year, if you wanted to know that. 50 years young, just about, and my husband is a year younger than me, so I robbed the cradle a little bit there, but it was great having 2 weeks just to do stuff around the house. You know, sometimes it's hard to keep up on the day-to-day when you're working for someone else 8 hours of the day. So it was good to be home and just hang out and get ice cream and work in the garden. But it's Tutorial Tuesday and we're going to make something beautiful. We're going to make these tulip spring-inspired long dangle earrings. They're very similar to kind of that lotus design. That has a lot more petals to it, and we don't need all that. I wanted to keep it simple. I want to keep it simple for my beginner friends that are learning jewelry, and let's not complicate this. This is beautiful just as it is, looking like that tulip. My daughter loves tulips. I love tulips. Let's make some tulips today. Let me show you what you're going to need. Very basic tools today. You're just going to need your chain nose pliers and some cutters. And of course, a ruler. Now, if you need to, you might want to keep your nylon pliers handy just in case your wires get a little squirrely and you need to straighten them out. There is one little optional piece to use if you happen to have this. Just makes it easier to hold it once you get the petals made and you start working into the stem. You can still hold it with your hand. This just made it a little easier. Something else that you can use if you don't have this are those big clamps, you know, that have the rubber coating on them. So, you know, you don't want to mess up your pieces. So if you happen to have some clamps around your house that got like a nice soft plastic tip or the rubber coating on it, you might be able to use that. So that's something to think about. You're going to have your bench block and both kinds of hammers nearby, nylon and a chasing hammer. For our wire today, all it is some 20 gauge. You can use this for the ear wires as well. So that's it. Pretty basic, right? I didn't even bust out the bail pliers this time. So let's make these beautiful little tulip-inspired earrings together today. A little word of encouragement before you get started if you are struggling in this wire working journey. It took me 7 times to get to the final thing that I was happy with. I ran into lots of different little issues and problems and things I wanted to change, and it took me 7 times on the 7th try, pretty perfect, right, to find what worked for me. So this is not in chronological order. This is definitely the first one. I think maybe this one was close to the end of finding what worked. So let's go over this. Don't be discouraged if you don't get it the first time. I've wiped down my 20 gauge wire and now I'm going to cut off 11 inches from our spool. That's what you'll need per earring. Make sure both of your ends are flush. Now we need to find the center. This is super easy. Just bring those ends together. Ish. Don't do that. It's not the end of the world. We're just trying to very roughly find our center. Once you get to down to that point, it gets a little easier, and then you can come in with your pliers and just kind of squeeze that shut a little bit more, and then we're going to pinch that in. This is going to make that little tip on this center petal. Did you see what I did? I had the bright idea of painting my nails before I did the tutorial. Don't do that, Carrie. All right, now that we've got this little tip, we're going to grab it with our pliers, holding firmly, and bring out these two arms away from each other. So you've got something like this. Turn those pliers and grab that little tip this direction. And then we're going to press down these two arms even more. And we're looking for some nice little round shape in here. If you need to come in with your fingers and just round it out a little bit more, that's super easy to do with this 20 gauge wire. Like that. Now we're going to do the exact opposite thing. It seems counterintuitive, but what it's doing is really making the wire billow out a little bit. I'm taking one arm and I'm bringing back up to the top. Taking the other and doing the same thing. So you see that first little tulip petal coming together. Now I want to show you something. See how the angle is higher up on this one than the other? That is a super easy fix. I'm going to show you. Or you can leave it like that. It depends on what kind of look you're going for. Do you want all of the petals to be just, they've got that organic, natural feel? Then leave it. Who cares? Especially if you're just beginning and you just want to make something beautiful. Leave it. But you can fix it by opening that back out. Move that plier up a little bit on that side. And then do it again. Bringing it around. And it's going to match a little better. I need to do it again, but you see what that is. You can also say like your tip is kind of angled in the wrong direction, where what you don't want, you just come right in there with your pliers and then move it in the direction that you want. I still have some tweaking to do because the goal of these petals is to be 2 centimeters long. Now I have a long way to go. They're almost 4 centimeters now. I'm just going to grab that, keep it with my pliers here, and just press down. Just come in there at that cross point. You can do this sliding it down, or you can come in with your pliers and then pinch that closed. See what we've got there. It's getting there a little bit more. You know what? I need to fix that again. I think maybe if I just press it like that and then lock that in with the pliers and then do it a little bit more, I think it'll help. This is totally where your design, your creativity come in, and what you're looking for. You don't even have to make them 2 centimeters. You could make them smaller if you want, and you can make them bigger if you want. Just pull on these arms until you just reduce that size to... I've lost my angle over here. I'm going to see if I can fix it again. Let's pull that back out. That's a little better. Let's see where we are. 2 centimeters. I'm going to leave it right there. Lovely little beginning. Just pinch this little cross point with your index and your thumb. And we're going to take these arms back around. So we got them going just like that about. This right in here, envision that this is the outer walls of this tulip. So you can bring it in as much as you want or have it spread out as much as you want. I kind of like that. Now at this point, there's a little eyeballing going on. You know, I do a lot of that. I don't measure a lot of things. I do try to give you the measurements, but lots of times I'm eyeballing things, and I'm so sorry about that if that causes you problems. So I'm envisioning like there's like this arc going here, right through here, and it's going to come over here at this meeting point. And we're going to make a bend. I like to put my thumb here for support. Oh, that tip is going to be in the way. And just keep bending it back until it gets to this little crisp cross point here. Right about there. Okay, now we're going to put that little tip on there. Bring your thumb, your index and your thumb right there to the end, so to minimize it twisting on you. And pinch that little tip. So cute. All right, hold that with your pliers. Swing that arm out. Now, to hold this neck, we need to move our pliers down, holding that, and then bring the wire back down again. And what that did was hold that bend that we made so that another bend can come off of the pliers in a different location, and makes that little billowy pillow of a petal. Cute, huh? I'm going to turn over so I can continue working on the side that's closest to me. That's what I prefer, but you work it how you want. Same thing, this involves a little eyeballing, but it's a flower, so it's very forgiving. Same deal. Oh, one little tip. You see how what we were working on is now on the bottom? This wire, when we bend it, needs to go on the bottom as well. So pay attention to where the wire is going as you bend it. Got my thumb here for support. Swing it under the flower, right back into that crisscross point. Got to make that little tip. Hold near the end there. And get my finger out of the way. And put that little pinch in. Go slowly on when you're doing that, because the wire will want to twist on you. If it does, it's not the end of the world. I'm going to hold that firmly, swing it out. And the more you swing it out, the more billowy it's going to get. Move the pliers down to hold that new bend in, and then swing the wire back down again. And there we have the sweetest little beginning to this tulip. Ooh, I love tulips. My daughter, I told you my daughter does. She just loves them. It's a shame they don't last longer, but these can last a whole lot longer. I do love spring. Oh my, it is my favorite season. I love all the plants. I love the birds they're just having a grand time. It is the best season, okay? I think it beats fall. Do you like fall or spring better? I really think it beats fall. So many more colors, so many more fragrances, new life, gosh, new baby animals, come on now, what's not to love about spring? I know, pollen, but we can handle it. I didn't show you what I was doing. I got this ring clamp that I like to use for a lot of things. An option would be just holding it with your hand, which is going to be a little more tricky. But if you've got one of those big plastic clamps, or especially the rubber coated clamps are around, like say to hold tarps or just hold things up around your house and your garage or whatever, those are great too. As long as it's got a nice soft area, a rubber coating or a plastic tip, you can hold that as well, right in here. I've got the whole tulip in there. We want it nice and locked in. But this works very nicely as well, and it comes with this little block you stick in there. If you're not familiar with a ring clamp, a lot of people are never seen these before, and this wedges in there and puts pressure over here and holds this nice and tight. All right, now that you're holding it really well, or you've got it locked in one of these things, we're going to take these little arms and then bend them down on either side. Now I used a pencil. You can play around with the diameter of something you would use for this. But what this is going to form is this little belly here. What is that called on the anatomy of a flower? I'm going to look it up. I don't even know if tulips have them, but you'll see them on roses and things like that. They have that little bulb there. I'm going to look it up. I enjoyed that when I was little, learning about flowers. So I'm using this old nasty pencil just to, we're going to make this shape here at the bottom. And I'm just bringing it up around the pencil to hold that shape. Let's see what we got here. I need to make any adjustments. That's looking pretty good. I like that. Isn't that cute? At this point, I like to see how even my wire is. I got a little trimming on this one to do. I want to take just a few seconds to straighten this out just a little bit more. We're going to cross them over this ever so slightly. They're going to want to do it anyway once you start straightening them out. See that? Like that arc was really pretty, but it's not what I want for this. So now they just naturally kind of crossed over. I want this opening. What do I got here? They're kind of equal, but this one, was it a little bit more on that one? I think this one was a little bit bigger on that one. And I'm liking that. I'm liking this opening here. So at this point, I'm so sorry, but I lied.
Why'd you lie? What the heck?
We're using bale pliers. I don't know what I was thinking saying that we weren't using no bale pliers, because just, we're using bale pliers, okay, in every single video. I think y'all, the ones that joined me every Tuesday for this time together, you know I use them every single time. So you knew that was a lie from the very beginning, didn't you? I'm trying to hold this in a way that you can see what in the world I'm doing. I'm putting 2 of these loops in. It's going to attach our ear wire. And they're going to be in motion like towards the going out. Using my 2mm bale on my pliers. And I'm going to go right on the end. I have my hand in a really weird position right now so that I can turn. I think it's nice to share that, how I'm holding my hand. It really helped someone in the comments when I shared how I was just holding my hands. You know, sometimes it could be that is the problem. Maybe you need to adjust your hand. So I've got my hand in a really wonky way so I can just do a nice turn in one motion. So I'm starting like this, basically upside down on the end of this wire. See that? And I've kind of got my finger there for support. And very slowly, all one motion, just about, I got to pick up a little bit more and bring it around to meet that wire. I'm going to turn and do the same thing on the other side. See how the loop is going to the outside of our form here. Right on the end of that wire. I really was on the end of the wire. Slowly bring that wire in to make the loop. We should have something like this. Now, if you get your little loops on here and they're not even at the top, it just probably means you twisted down one more than the other. So put your pliers, whichever you're using, back in there and just turn a little bit more, the one that's sticking up a little bit more. That's probably all it is. Okay, we're going to do a little something weird here. Actually, 2 things a little bit weird, because I wanted this to be very minimal. I didn't want any loops. I didn't want anything hooking to this. I wanted to keep the design as simple as possible so that these 2 wires would come up in a way that I could just hook in an ear wire, but it still be really elegant in the whole design there. So let me show you what I did. Now that we've got these two little loops, we're going to bend them backwards. Let me see if I can get this not to focus on my hand. The smallest pliers you have, right in one of these little loops, and we're going to bend it backwards 90 degrees. I'm just flattening that out a little bit because it was a little wonky. This is not exactly how I'd be holding it if I was just doing it myself. I'm trying to hold it where you can see it. So we've got this so far. I'm going to turn over so I can use the same hand motion. I'll pull this over a little bit, it's getting in the way. And again, right in that, and just bend it back 90 degrees. Oops, sorry. Press that flat if I need to. You see kind of what it's doing already. You see that these loops are going to lay over each other. So they might not be so far, and that is okay. I don't think I've done a single one of these earrings where it, oh wow, look at that. It's doing exactly what I wanted the first try, so don't worry about that. I can tell that this side needs to be, I'm so sorry, I keep hitting that. It needs to be bent down just a few more degrees. Wasn't quite 90. And you see I go super slow. I think that's going to work. Here we have this so far. This is what it looks like from the side. And I'm going to do something a little weird, okay? So you see how one is sitting on top of the other. We are going to pull these apart. And this is what this is going to do, is create a little tension when we take this top one and slide it behind the one in the back. And these are going to hold position because they're going to be pressing against each other. Just like that. You see that? So if you're finding yours are slipping all around, pull them apart, create that tension so that when you slide them behind each other, they press against each other and hold. I'm going to close these loops just a little bit. They'll come open just a little bit when you do the 90-degree angle backwards. So you might have to close them a little bit. And what that did when we did the 90 degrees is it created this soft shoulder here that kind of mimics what's going on down here. And I really feel like it fits the whole design. Not to worry if it's kind of like this, but it's still, you know, you can still get it lined up just as long as it's generally lined up because the ear wire is going to hold it in place. But you don't want it all over the place. If it's not anywhere near kind of lined up, keep working on it until you get it lined up. But I'm really liking how this is looking and how this is laying. Time to take it out of your clamp or whatever you're doing to hold it together and see how it's all lining up. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's great.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Slide over your bench block and get your nylon hammer out. And I'm just going to do some gentle hammering on this to kind of flatten it out, lock things into place, and I'm holding it because when you're hammering, it wants to make everything shift and move. So hold it well. Adjust your fingers and hammer on this stuff and get it nice and strong. Switch over to your chasing hammer, and this is where we're going to put just the sweetest little detail on these tips. We're going to flatten them out. That is so pretty. Now they are quite long, so let me give you the dimensions of these. And if you want to make a small version, these measure roughly around 3.5. You get that ear wire on there, it might get you to 3.25, something like that. But if you want to do a small one, where'd my little baby go? You're gonna, let me get my measurements because I can't remember. This one used 11 inches. Small one is going to use 8 inches. And the petals, where this one was 2 centimeters, these are 1.5 centimeter. And you're going to trim down these arms to 4 centimeters. And that will leave you enough to make this little crossover and leave you a centimeter on each end to make a loop. But it's all the same movements, all the same shapes and steps. So you can make a small one if you like, if you're not ready for this. But it's so light. It's only 20 gauge. I mean, I don't know what the weight is this, but this absolutely nothing. So it could be really lovely with your hair up with, for Mother's Day, you got your hair up with a lovely floral dress. Come on, this is so beautiful. Since we are making earrings, I gotta show you how to make an ear wire, because this might be the first time you're making something and you don't know yet how to make an ear wire. And I don't want to leave you hanging. I don't want to make you go somewhere else to find out how to make an ear wire. I'm gonna make sure my wire is flush cut, and I'm just gonna eyeball about 2 inches. Let's see. I'm so curious. Did I get 2 inches? I have a feeling it's not. Just over 2 inches. But usually that's my go-to length for a very simple, same old ear wire I use all the time, but it works. So once you get in that muscle memory, you just do it. The first bail, which is 2 millimeters on my pliers, is going to make that little loop that's going to connect. And we have that. Turn over your loop so it's facing away, 7 millimeters on the bail, facing yourself. Now make sure it's level. Don't have it in there like this and then try to make the bend. That's Wonkyville. We don't want that. So we are going to make sure it's nice and level before we bend it around, just to touch that first loop, and then you can put that little bend on the end if you would like. We're going to open up that first loop to the side there, and this is my front, what I want to be my front. You can do whatever you want, and slide on those little loops. And then just close that up. And then you have a lovely little ear wire to go with your tulip inspired earrings. Some final steps, what I would do is clean up some of the, I don't know, they're not necessarily nicks, but it's the impression, the edge of the hammer impressions on this. I would go in with my radial disc or some sanders and just sand that out, and then really polish this up for a final look on that. I have several demonstrations on that in recent videos, how to use radial discs, how to use protected clear, and how to use liver of sulfur, if those are options that you are looking for. We're just going to keep it simple today with a great simple pair of earrings for the spring, the summer, Mother's Day, graduations, so many wonderful things coming up in the next several months. And I look forward to celebrating with you and spending our Tuesdays together in the days to come. You have a great day. See you next week for Tutorial Tuesday. Oh my legs. Okay, forget that. What the heck? Oh, movement. Oh shoot. Oh yeah. Both of them on there? I didn't even get. Did I get both of them on there? Yeah.